Just want to reflect briefly on Tuesday night, if that's all right. I feel like I could pick out anybody for praise, but Corey Langstaff, Dan Crowley amongst the goals, Jody Jones just unplayable. How are you managing to get what seems the absolute best out of everybody at the minute?
No, I think that I spoke the other week in the press and try to get a message out there that we need more time to be exposed to the level and for the players to adapt a little bit, and I think that's something that we're seeing now. You have to try to put Jody's his journey since he'd been at Notts County into context. That he came in after a long period of not playing football, which was really sad for a player of that quality. But he needed time to get back up to speed, and he didn't always feature in the lineup in the National League. You look at the level that Adam Chickson was playing at last season. It's understandable, but Jody then had some really valuable minutes, had a good pre-season, and now he's getting closer to. He's still not finished where he's going to get to, because he's a very, very good player, and we just needed a bit of time. And you have to remember, Macaulay is making his first appearances in the Football League, and he's doing brilliant. But we needed a bit of time, and we still need a bit more time to get used to the level. And now, it seems to me in the last two performances, I would say more players are becoming really focused more and understanding the level and the concentration and the intensity that is required, and hopefully that's why we're seeing a better level of performance.
Yeah, you went to that game on Tuesday with a sort of midfield four of Madhu Cisse, Jim O'Brien, Ollie Tipton and Will Randall, and I don't use the word makeshift because that would sound like an insult, and I don't at all mean it like that, but how much of that was the plan, and how much was sort of that was just who was available, if you know what I mean?
No, it's a plan for sure, and I appreciate the way you worded the question, because you're very right, because that could come across really insulting, but that's not the case at all, and you're really on the money there, because we have a group of good players, and we start to become really accustomed to seeing certain players in the team a lot, and we build up a level of trust that we think we recognise this player in this position in this team, and we start to really picture in our mind that's how the team looks with these certain players in. But behind the scenes, we have guys that train 11v11, and the teams move around a lot, and we never have a situation where we have a group of players that play in one team in training and then everybody else is like makeshift in the other team. We just don't do that. We mix together. The players are included in all the different drills that we do and all the different meetings that we hold, and then, like I say, twice a week we play 11v11, and people change in different combinations. So we're more used to seeing the players, in a Notts County team, and then of course it's a bit more surprising when you come to the stadium and see the players in a unfamiliar players in the side. But no, we were confident. We feel like those guys have been training at a really good level and desperate to get in there and prove themselves.
Yeah. You lost 3 league games all season, and whenever you have lost, you bounce back straight away. What's the secret been to that?
The secret is the personality of the players, and if you speak to people across the board in football, and they have a group that have that type of character, they're always really grateful. All coaches, all managers are so grateful when they know they have a dressing room full of guys that are not made of sugar, that can accept when they didn't play well enough, and have the best possible response. And sometimes you're unlucky and you don't have that group, and other times you're very fortunate and you do, and that's really what it comes down to.
On Saturday then, Wrexham, the visitors, what was it like on the inside, going toe to toe with them for all of last season?
It was really relentless. I think that word can be used sometimes when it's not really appropriate for a situation, but without a question, it was relentless. Neither team could afford to even draw a game pretty much without it being a disaster. And it looks like now we're in a situation where the competition for the top spots in the division is really, really tough, like really tough. But probably in National League, I don't know if that will happen again to that extent. But it was just it was relentless every single day, every game, every training session meant the world. Every substitution, every single thing that you can think of in the job became more important, more heightened.
Well, after that sort of rivalry, if that's what you want to call it, does it make Saturday's game feel any bigger?
I don't think it does for us because we already played so many tough games, and we already have like so much respect for all the teams. If you look, I think in the bottom of the division is like 2 teams that scored 5 goals against us each. Do you know what I mean? It's that you cannot take anything for granted, and we know it's a really big game, but it doesn't really have the same magnitude probably as it does from the outside. And I think both teams will have a similar mentality that it is another league game that we both are desperate to win, but is not bigger than that. From the outside, I think it's great to make it more bigger than that. I think it's a really exciting thing to make more of it, and that's a wonderful thing about football. But from inside, no, is we're both clubs have been in a very heavy schedule, and both clubs are finding that all the opponents that we play are so good.
You mentioned after Newport that game sort of petered out towards the end, and I know it's different because you're 3-0 up, of course, but how important is it that doesn't happen on Saturday, because Wrexham score a lot of goals late on and win a lot of points late on?
No, I'm happy for the game. If we're in a great position, I'm happy for it to peter out to a non-event. What I don't want is when it peters out to chances at both ends, and basketball, I don't like that at all. If we can manage games, I'm somewhat happy for us to manage games. I prefer that we just play, very, very well for 90 minutes and that we score 3 goals in each half of the game. But I also get that we play at a high intensity. I get that the opposition risk probably a lot more when the game is seemingly over, and that gives a different problem to deal with. More players running forward, more players gambling on the top line of the pitch. And I think that we managed that really well. Like I say, it's not really my perfect idea of how the game should look. I would like us to be very much in control of the game and very close to the opposition box in the later stages if we're in a good position. But certainly we cannot allow the game to get too open against Wrexham because they have incredibly good players.
A bit of a sort of rain check, if I may. We've not seen Adam Chickson for a little while. We know Richard Brindley and John Bostock on the treatment table as well. What's the latest on those 3? Yeah,
still a way to go before they can be on the grass and start to do the end of their rehabilitation back to training, and then to train and be ready for selection is still a while off. But all progressing very well. No slow reactions to healing and things like that sometimes we see with players. So all doing very well, applying themselves correctly to their recovery, and hopefully more update on timelines in the next week or so.
Great. And I guess as for Will Randall, kind of the opposite in a way. I guess is he fit now? Having on the bench on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think for sure he would like to be more match fit, but how do you get that until you play is always a dilemma. But yeah, I'm really pleased to have him back with us, and selection issues now more, and I think he has a quality that, his individual quality that he has as well, give us a different dynamic as well. So that's a really good positive sign for us.
Post Newport, the Notts Twitter account tweeted, "These are good times," and I just want to know how much you sort of agree with that, because they really are. And I guess the fact you're playing Wrexham means you can kind of reflect a bit on where you come since you last played them, and since you played them at home over a year ago, because it really does feel like these really are good times at the minute.
Yeah, but look, we have to keep giving. We have to keep giving, because they demand that. The fans, they demand that we keep churning out good performances and winning. and that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here for. And when you're lucky enough to have a passionate fan base, you have to keep feeding them all the time. Otherwise, even the giant clubs can fall on hard times. And I prefer that they feel the good times more than us. At this stage of the season, maybe if we'd done something great, myself and the players, we can feel the good times in the summer. But we have to keep giving, and we mustn't be complacent about anything.
Thank you, Luke, as always. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Hi, Luke.
Hello.
Just going to start with, obviously, you faced Wrexham last season, massive rivalry. You both made it into League Two. Kind of thing that, what kind of quality do you think it is that both of your squads had to be in a position where you are already a third way into this season in a league above?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we both have quality, of course. We both have very, very potent goal scorers. But I think that anybody that's been in the league with a team that knows that it's not enough to just have quality. And I think what both groups have is a fight and a desire. And probably that sounds so simple and cliche, but all teams have to some extent, of course they do, but that gets tested throughout the season with a bad result, a heavy defeat, or a grind of fixtures coming close together, or these type of things are put in the way there to try and take the fight away and to try and put the flame out to some extent. And I think both clubs have been successful because they have a mixture of quality on the pitch and fight as well, and that's normally a good recipe, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And looking back on last night's game, especially knowing that you're going to be coming up against Wrexham, who we know in attack are very aggressive, it was a first win with a clean sheet in quite some time now for you guys. Do you think that came at a good time?
I really hope so, because that's what we've been really, is our most burning desire, if you like, is to protect the goal better than we have done. And we need to protect the goal better without losing our threat, and that is a balancing act that's is really difficult to find that line. But certainly that looked a more comprehensive performance of defending the goal effectively and being a big threat at the other end. And hopefully, I don't know, because until the whistle goes, we don't know. But hopefully that is a good sign coming into this game.
Yeah, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, but obviously you've been unfortunate with some injuries. International break now affects your squad in places. Looking at the youngsters that we've seen and looking at the rotations that you've been using off the bench, how confident are you in your squad depth now? Because some fans probably wouldn't have been shy to say that they wanted more bodies in earlier on in the season, but how do you feel about the depth now?
No, I'm really excited actually, because to look at for example Lou Macari coming into the team, a big moment of course with the goal, but more than that is the performance and the composure was really, I'm so happy about that. I'm really pleased that we got a look at Ollie Tipton playing in midfield, and he's really nice with the ball, and he has good history defending, of course, because he's been a defender more often. So I like to have the guys sometimes with a defensive quality in the middle of the pitch as well. I think the movement of Sam Austin all over the pitch, when last season really played dominantly one position, but now already he's played like 4 positions and playing them all brilliantly. Aaron Main, I'm really excited about Aaron playing in midfield inside one more position to where he normally is, right on the outside of the pitch, but then changing Toby, moving back into the back line from a winger. I really like this. I think it's so encouraging for us that when we suffer with injuries or with international duty, that players are coming into playing different positions without a problem, and this has got to be a step forward for us.
Yeah, brilliant. And then I wanted to ask just about, obviously with Cameron out yesterday, we saw Maka wearing the band, and in his post-match interview yesterday, he said that the team is full of leaders. and it didn't really matter who was wearing it. Is that something that, especially with a few youngsters coming up and playing more, is that something that you think radiates throughout the change rooms and on the pitch?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think I can't. I actually I watched that interview and I can't express it better than Macca because I thought his interview was fantastic and his interview just like his personality and his mentality just shine through, and everything he said is better than how I can say it, and that's everything he said. I agree with. I think it's absolutely true.
And then my final one, obviously this month we've had a lot of local visitors, some derbies, a big rivalry coming this weekend. The away end has been pretty packed. I've seen it for myself, but the Notts fans haven't disappointed in kind of really getting behind the side. Is that something that you've really felt, especially against those games where it can be tough to hear just as much noise against you as it is for you sometimes?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I feel bitterly disappointed that we weren't able to give them more opportunity to be very noisy in the Mansfield game, for example. But we gave them, I think, more, particularly in the first half. I think we gave them a chance to be really noisy last night, and we know that if we can give them something to get excited about, they'll really join in, and it's always has to be us first. We cannot expect them to create an atmosphere with a dreary team on the pitch that are uninspiring. That's just ridiculous. So no, when we do our bit correctly and we give them the opportunity to join in, they're just different class. But we know our responsibility.